All right, guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am not here with Geeky Sparkles. Instead, I guess I'm here with Ozzy the Cat, who isn't going to say anything. He's just going to look at me. So we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons stepping into it again. Kyle Brink, WotC's executive producer, saying something really dumb on a podcast that's gotten him in trouble. He's basically like, yeah, you know, white guys can't leave D&D fast enough. I can't wait until all these white guys quit D&D. And don't worry, Kyle. Don't worry. White guys, white girls, black guys, black girls, and people of all varieties of genders and ethnicities are all leaving D&D because D&D's OGL controversy has sparked a revolt, an exodus. A lot of people are leaving Wizards of the Coast regardless of them attempting to walk back the OGL mess, the open game license mess. They've lost a lot of customers. And this isn't going to help Wizards. Having your guy out there saying stupid things on a podcast like this, it's not going to help because you really don't know your demographic very well. And that's not to say that there doesn't need to be more diversity or can't be more diversity in Dungeons and Dragons, but to basically say, hey, I want all the white guys to quit the game already. Not a good look. I'm just saying. If you go to most hobby shops and you take a look at who's buying the product, yeah, you probably don't want to lose those people. I'm just saying. So we're going to talk about this. Geez, Wizards. I mean, seriously. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 292,000, almost 293,000 subs. Please subscribe for more pop culture news. We've been talking about tabletop gaming a lot over the last couple months. In fact, we are actually working on our own tabletop system, and we have been for a while now, actually since last year. I know it was only a couple months ago, but way before that. And we'll have more details about that in the months to come, obviously, as we get closer to making more announcements and releasing it. But yeah, lots of people leaving D&D, lots of people creating their own alternatives, and basically, you know, corporate D&D is done. I think Wizards has effectively killed this brand. D&D will live on in other systems, and you know, it'll live on in people still using older books and you know, supplements. But going forward, I think one D&D is going to be dead on arrival. We'll talk about people leaving D&D for other game systems, and this is the self-inflicted mortal wound, by the way. But let's talk about this. Kyle Brink, Wizards executive producer, running at the mouth on a podcast. Very poor choice of words. I kind of get what he was going for, but it did not come out right. And this is a pretty interesting situation, again, given that Wizards has to scramble to get back as much of their audience as they possibly can. You're alienating what probably, I mean, I'm just going to say it, statistically probably is your largest demographic. You know, white dudes probably is your biggest, it's probably your biggest demographic of players, and you're telling them you don't want them. So we got to give a hat tip to the t-shirted historian. And we're going to go out to this video. It was on this podcast with 3 black halflings. And you know, again, I get what he's going for. Probably saying that there needs to be, or should be, more diversity at the gaming table, which is okay. But he's basically like, yeah, I can't wait until all the white people quit D&D. Like, dude, seriously, you need to be working on like bringing people back to this game, because you guys are losing, for sure.
My players and have lived experience.
Let's listen to this.
And I think there's been mistakes made in years past where people assumed that D&D players were all, you know, white dudes in a basement.
Yeah.
Which has been a faulty assumption for a lot of years.
Yeah.
It gets more and more false every day. And so it's, in my viewpoint, honestly, guys like me can't leave soon enough.
Okay. Yeah, they don't even look like they're they don't even look like they're like, what the hell did you just say? Yeah, so this has gotten him into some hot water on some RPG forums, and it's making the rounds. Now, again, this is anti-marketing just like their attempt to bring the fandom together under the unified banner of WotC, where they're going to take your stuff, was anti-marketing, and it's not working out very well for Wizards. If you go out to RPG, the RPGsite.com, there's a whole thread on this. We've got a bunch of people on here. Kyle can't wait for people who look like him, white dudes, to leave the game. Someone sent him to the Ernie Gygax Jr. School of Public Speaking. Yeah, Ernie Gygax, we've talked about that. Gary Gygax's son got into trouble. Again, it's understandable what he was trying to say, but how it came out, maybe not so good. But, it was kind of the heat of the moment there. And he got dogpiled on Twitter for it. I think given the way Twitter is, I think Kyle here is going to get all kinds of fist bumps. Does the guys like me can't leave soon enough mean like companies that control stuff? He was just talking about white guys in the basement. So I think he's saying white guys like me can't leave soon enough, but I could easily be missing context. Is he really making such a bold anti-white statement, or was it just a bit of conversational flim-flam? He was talking about diversity at first, and then he segues into the race to the customer base and continues in the same moment saying he can't wait to get rid of white guys who look like him. He was talking immediately about the customer base and then went into a statement about how he wants to get rid of white guys who look like him, like Matt Mercer. You want to get rid of Matt Mercer too? I don't think that's good for business, Wizards. Geeky Bugle, stop giving money to people that hate you. Oh, God. Got Zelen down here. Zelen, I'm glad WotC is putting their foot in it. Good opportunity for someone who doesn't hate the primary demographic that plays TTRPGs. That is exactly it. That is exactly it. And you know what? Your competitors are taking advantage of the situation. Your competitors want everybody's money, and that's how it should be. I don't think anybody should be excluded from tabletop gaming at all. I don't think anyone should be excluded. That being said, not every campaign is for every person, nor do I think it's a game publisher's place to make overtly political statements that could alienate part of your customer base. Rather, you put the product out there and you let the players play the way they want to. Unfortunately, Wizards of the Coast, for the last couple of years, has kowtowed to the Tumblr crowd and the Twitter crowd and the activists and the Portland tabletop scene, all those folks. They've kowtowed to them, and they keep making statement after statement after statement about race and politics. And again, you've always been free to play the game the way you want to play it. If you think orcs are racist caricatures, then don't use them in your campaign. If you don't think your ethnic group is properly represented in supplements, then create your own worlds, your own characters. You've always been free to do that. But to force the company to make political statements that are more divisive, more divisive than helpful, isn't doing the game any good. And again, the OGL thing was just the icing on the cake. A lot of people were sick of Wizards before all of this happened. A lot of people were tired of Wizards of the Coast, whether it's, them bilking consumers. A lot of Magic players not happy about that. Subpar quality of material. And again, all the stupid politics that they've let creep into the game over the last 4 or 5 years. The OGL situation was the icing on the cake, and now a lot of people are leaving. So this is coming from Polygon. D&D's OGL controversy turbocharges sales of virtually every other tabletop RPG. As fans flee D&D, independent publishers greet them with open arms. They talk about how D&D has long been synonymous with role-playing games. Brand awareness has traditionally helped it to the lion's share of sales, leaving smaller publishers and independent creators to fight over the crumbs. All that changed in January when Wizards of the Coast, a subsidiary of game and toy giant Hasbro, attempted to alter its open gaming license, also known as the OGL. The effort backfired spectacularly, and its competitors are now reaping the rewards. At least one tabletop game publisher, Kobold Press, tells Polygon that its sales quadrupled in January. Quadrupled. Goodman Games, on the other hand, said it has its best month since 2003. Nearly every other publisher that responded to a request for data reported at least double the expected sales, with some selling through nearly an entire year's worth of stock in less than 3 weeks. Holy hell. I'm sure you've heard the joke several times over. Magpie Games co-founder and CEO Mark Diaz Truman wrote Polygon in an email. Us indie designers have spent the last 20 years trying to get D&D fans to try something different, and Wizards gets it done in a month. Way to go, Wizards. The OGL has been in place for more than 2 decades. It provides a legal framework by which people have been able to build their own tabletop RPGs alongside D&D. But the proposed changes to the OGL instantly created an adversarial relationship between Wizards and the community. Backlash from fans garnered international press, and organized boycott eventually convinced the toy game publisher to back down. This is the fatal blow. In the weeks that Hasbro spent publicly flailing, customers spent an extraordinary amount of money investing in competition. Paizo, which publishes Pathfinder and Starfinder, reported on January 26th that it had sold through an 8-month supply of the Pathfinder core rulebook. Chaosium, publisher of Call of Cthulhu, said it has sold through months of stock and has multiple new shipments of books on the way from its manufacturing partners. Digital formats, which D&D has long been reluctant to offer, have surged in popularity. We've seen a big spike in digital sales in all of our properties and are receiving a wild amount of interest in every single one of our game systems, wrote Hunter's Entertainment Creative Director Knoxweiler Burf. Green Ronin and Free League Publishing both told Polygon that their sales more than doubled in January. Evil Hat Productions, Fate, likewise said that sales nearly doubled. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. And, saying stuff like this is not going to help. Again, regardless of your intention, but you've just helped your competition sell more games. For sure. God, that's absolutely ridiculous. So I'm going to wrap this one up. This is, we're going to keep an eye on the situation. I think this is the death knell for D&D. I mean, I don't think D&D is ever going to go away, but I think it's going to be a diminished brand. Magic fans are angry too. I think Hasbro needs to kick its CEO and the president of Wizards out of the company. They need to be a toy company, a game company, and not chasing apps and video games, because they can't do it very well. Just be the best toy and game manufacturer on the planet and forget chasing digital, forget chasing video games, forget chasing movie deals. It's not working out very well for you. And for God's sake, tell your people to shut up when they do interviews. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.